Help me find Christine. Help me find Christine. Help me find Christine. Christine. Where is Christine? Where is Christine? That girl, she hides everywhere where I can't find her. I'm sick of chasing everywhere, yeah. Help me find Christine. Where is Christine? Help me find Christine. Where is Christine? Christine. Help me find Christine. Help me find Christine. Help me find Christine. Christine. Where is Christine? Where is Christine? That girl, she hides everywhere where I can't find her. I'm sick of chasing everywhere, yeah. Help me find Christine. Where is Christine? Help me find Christine. Where is Christine? Christine. What you say to me, I'm listening carefully and wondering what I think I gotta do. Wandering straight away, I'm thinking every day. I'm wondering what I'm gonna do. I'm wondering what I'm gonna do when it comes to you. I'm acting very strange. Maybe right away I'll think about what I have to do. Straight away I know no one else can go as far as I've gone with you. As far as I've gone with you when it comes to you. Wandering straight away, thinking every day. I'm wondering what I'm gonna do. I'm wondering what I'm gonna do when it comes to you. I'm wondering what I'm gonna do when it comes to you. When it comes to you. Plastic EP's in a very great, happy place. He's got Terence Winkless, who played bingo in the Banana Splits. And I got to tell you, I grew up with the Banana Splits. Welcome, Terence. It's a big welcome to you.
Thank you, Plastic. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you're coming in from Vancouver.
Vancouver, British Columbia, beautiful place.
Aren't you glad you don't have to wear the suit anymore?
I'm very delighted I do not have to wear the suit anymore. what happened to the suits? Do you own the suits? Do you keep the suits? The suits were falling apart every single day. And they had costume people whose designated job it was to keep them together enough that we could go in front of the camera. So I'm glad I don't have to work in the suit anymore.
How old were you then? Were you 19 at the time when you first started with the Splits wearing the suits?
Yes, I was 19. My younger brother, who was also one of them, was 18. Yeah, I was 19. Danny was 18. My older brother, Jeff, was also one of us, one of the Banana Splits. He was 26. He was the old guy.
How did you get the gig? How did you get picked for the show?
It's a long story. I'll make it short. I don't know
Yep.
if it's a long story. I drove from school from Southern Illinois on a Friday. My mother said, "You're going to try out for this TV show that your dad's involved with in California." I said, "Okay." So we all three of us, me and my brothers, boarded a flight to California. We got hauled over to this little dance studio the next day, and there's a pile of costumes in there, still in their dry cleaning bags. And we went to the costumes. One of them was taller than the others. That was my younger brother, Danny. He chose that one. My older brother, Jeff, chose the one that was really puce colored. That was Flegel. And that left me with the Bingo costume, which was fine by me. Bingo was the drummer, and he had a lot of energy, and I liked the big green grin.
I got to tell you something. Bingo's my favourite. Now, growing up in Australia, it's 1968. In these times, we had black and white TV. I used to live in East Hawthorn. It's very important. And my cousin used to live in Camberwell. So we didn't get driven by our parents. So like it was walking distance, like 20 minutes away. And I remember sitting on the couch watching TV and watching these things flying around on the screen, up and down poles, through the letterboxes, the girls coming in the door, I've forgotten their name, right? Those girls that came in singing.
The Sour Grape Girls.
That's it. And then one of you going outside and scared to open the door, and the other one encouraging one or not, and then the fan mails. Then we're having a meeting. It's a journey. It's all craziness to me, but something for a child growing up then 10 years old. It's television that you've never seen before. It's the first live action TV show of its type. That's why that show is totally unique.
I think that's right. I think that's why it stays with people. It was so energetic between the music and the imagery. It was a trip and a half.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How can you explain it in 1968? But also, as I said, the Trailer last song, that's like magic there. When that came on, I want to ask you now about the Monkees. Right. Is this based on the Monkees, the TV show?
Well, there's reason to believe that the Banana Splits might not have existed if not for the Monkees. But there was no direct ripoff, certainly. But you could make a case for the idea that my character, especially Bingo, was sort of like Mickey Dolenz with a big grin, and Bingo was the drummer, and Mickey was the drummer, and there's certainly a lot of cross-pollination, shall we say. Not ripoff, just suggested by.
And having Kellogg's behind you and Hanna-Barbera, like that's the kids show of the year. That's what it is. And it's pop culture that's never going away.
We got the gig because my dad used to write Kellogg's commercials, and through that he got friendly with Hanna and Barbera, who did the TV show. It was their first live action TV show ever, and he was aware that they had in mind to put actors in these suits that were going to be sort of heavy and clumsy and who knows. So he said, "I've got these three sons that would be perfect for those suits." As I say, my younger brother, Danny, my older brother, Jeff, and I all leapt into the suits and, chose them out of a big pile in that little dance studio in North Hollywood in 1968. And the rest is history.
Exactly. Now, I've got two surprises for you, Terence. Even though this is a picture of Drooper, I want to show it to you because there's not many photos from the amusement parks, and I'll ask you about that. Here's the photo. And what happens is I got little Steph there in the flowers, right?
It's a great, touching idea.
And what happens is that's something that kids don't forget. And that was at King Island Amusement Park in Ohio, USA, 1976. Now, it may not have been the Drooper from the TV show, but I can tell you, you can see the kids, the expression on the kids, how much happiness you guys gave the world. And that is fact. This is before HR Puffin stuff.
Yeah, I think we did a promo for HR Puffin stuff. I think Jack Wild came on the show. Yeah. There's Jack on the cover now. Yeah. And we did a promo for that. I'll never forget, obviously.
Now, the second surprise is I've written 2,000 songs. No big deal. But one of my favorites is a dedication to the Banana Splits, right? And it's called Hey Bananas, We Think You're Groovy. And if you listen to the words, it's talking about the show. It describes it. I love it. A lot of people love it. And here, this is for you. And it's the first time you've ever heard it, isn't it?
Indeed.
Here we go. Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy. And I went all the way from Australia to Hollywood Boulevard where the stars are just to do this. Here we go.
Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy. Hey, Bananas, we watch a movie. Yeah. Driving chewing buggies everywhere, just going crazy without a care. Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy. Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy. We love to watch you 'cause your favorite show. Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy. Hey, Bananas, we think you're groovy.
What do you say there?
Say that's pure 1968, brother.
Thank you. And you know what? If you listen to the words, I'm watching my favorite show. Up and down the poles they go. I mean, how do you describe it better than that? That's pure love there for the show.
You nailed it, man.
And that, you've never heard that in your life. It's been all over the net for years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I not noticed.
Now, you got a fantastic book out called From the Inside, My Life as Bingo of the Banana Splits.
In the fall of 2019, just last year, I got a call asking if I wanted to go to New York and go to a nostalgia autograph signing event. Well, yeah, you're paying the airfare and putting me up at the Hilton? Yeah, I'm on. And it was fantastic. For 3 days, I think. Yeah, 3 days. People came and shook my hand and got my autograph and told me how much they dug the show way back when. I said, you know, this is fantastic. Days of people saying, oh, it was a great show, we love you. And most of them are grown-ups like you and me. And then there was another one in February, late February, yeah, sometime in February in LA. So I got to fly down back home. LA is my stomping ground, old stomping ground. So on the heels of this, I said, gee, there's all this resurgence in the show, this interest. Maybe I should write down everything I can remember about it. So I did. I sat down and over the course of, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, pulled from every corner of my brain what I could remember and generated a book, From the Inside, My Life as Bingo of the Banana Splits. It isn't just about the Banana Splits, of course. It also talks about, in not very great detail, all of the other little movies that I've worked on over my time in Hollywood, which was a long time. I was there for 34 years and met a lot of folks and had a lot of fun. Anyway, it's all in the book. And there you have it. From the Inside, My Life as Bingo of the Banana Splits. It's from an outfit called Bear Manor Media. Bear Manor is all one word.
And that's the best place to order the book if they want to order the book?
Yeah, order directly from them. It's also on Amazon, Rakuten, or whatever that's called. And it's all over the place. It's at Walmart. But, you know, it's best if you go straight to the source. It'll be the best, probably the fastest.
Can I ask you, when you were doing the show and they came up with the songs, you guys obviously had to go home and listen to the tapes and then fake it, like on the stage, obviously, because you can't sing or talk. How was that when you had to sort of understand the song, or did you just basically they just filmed you moving around miming and that was it?
That's it. That's pretty much it. I don't remember ever going home at night and listening to it. For one thing, we were living in a hotel, and there was not a lot of facilities that could create that. It's not like everything was. There was no digital internet or media or anything back then, right? It was all tapes or records. You remember vinyl?
Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't listen to anything in advance. They would play the music. We faked our way through it. Actually, I wasn't playing the guitar then. I was on the drums, which was ironic because I was actually a guitar player. But when I was a kid, I took drums. So I knew how to fake it. And no, there was not a lot of rehearsal or preparation. They would play it. We would listen. We'd fake it.
Do you remember any incidents on the show where you got hurt in an outfit, or someone fell over, or coming down one of the poles, or anything that you can tell me that no one knows about the inside of the show?
Not ever in the polls. The opening titles, you see the banana buggies, as we called them, more properly known as Amphicats. You see those going down the hills out in the San Fernando Valley in California. And more than once, one of us would flip that thing over on himself. I remember once I ran into a cyclone fence at top speed, which is not very fast, maybe 25, 30 miles an hour. I just plain couldn't see it. We were operating on about 25% of our normal vision. So, and between the dust and the glare and whatever, I just didn't see it. Fortunately, I'm in a 30-pound gorilla suit, which is all padding, and nothing happened. Another time, my younger brother flipped one of the Amphicats over on himself. You throw it off, you get up, dust yourself off, and get back in and go again. That's showbiz. There was another time, and I describe it at length in the book, where we're supposed to do a promo for an African show, Daktari or something like that, and Judy the chimp delivers a message to me, takes one look at me and wants to rip me apart, and throws the message she's supposed to deliver down on the ground. I'm supposed to reach for it. I'm shaking as I pick it up, and next thing I know, Judy's jumping 6 feet in the air, trying to figure out how to take me apart. I look back, I see my younger brother, my older brother, holding onto each other like Laurel and Hardy on top of this podium, the lift on the stage. It was hysterical. In the end, of course, the trainer had to come out and rip her off of me, and he told us later, he always carried a weapon. He told us later that Judy had taken a bite out of some actress's arm. I'm glad he told us about that afterwards. Because if he told us in advance, forget about it. Deliver your own message. Judy, go to another show. I think that was the single most memorable event of that kind that happened on the show. But going down the pole, going down the slide, no, we didn't get hurt at that. I mean, half the show was behaving like kids, falling down. I mean, that's what kids do, right? Yeah. And we had a lot of padding and a lot of protection. We went through a lot of T-shirts per day because the show, it was incredibly hot in the suits. I also mentioned this 47 million times in the book, but it was incredibly warm. We went through 15 T-shirts a day. They were constantly trying to find ways to cool us off. NASA was contacted. They built a thing that would fit on your body and run a hose up your head that would blow air off of a frozen CO2 cartridge. This is great, except that you wear it on your kidney. Well, you can't be a kid falling down and have a thing on your kidneys. You're not going to have any kidneys left. So they became incredibly expensive kazoos. With the hood tube, we just took it off and used them as kazoos. But it was an incredibly memorable, exciting time. I'm really delighted that I did the show. I'm even more delighted that people dig it now. There's nothing greater than having these people come up in LA at the show or the one in New York and say, yeah, I remember it was every Saturday morning at 9:30. There you were. We lived for it. So there's nothing better.
Terence, did the producers say to you, look, You guys are in the suits. We've got to keep the secret. We don't want you talking to anyone that you're the Banana Splits at any time.
No, no one ever admonished us against doing anything like that. If anybody had asked, we would have been all for it. But at the time, to be honest, nobody did ask. There was no, it wasn't like there was Entertainment Tonight going, gee, who's really in there? Or TMZ going, who's behind those suits or anything like that. This is a long time ago. It's 50 bloody years, isn't it? Yeah. Nobody asked.
When the show hit first in September 7, 1968 and ran till September 1970, you must have been on top of the world watching that show, knowing that you and your brothers are on that show that's worldwide, because that's what it was.
Put it this way, in the language of the 60s, it was a trip and a half. Yes, Saturday mornings, get up, bleary, of course. I'm in college, I'm 20 years old, and turn on the tube and go, holy catfish, that's me in that suit. I'm going to go back to bed. But no, it was a trip. I think my TV was also in black and white. Come to think of it, in 1968, yeah. Yeah, I didn't get color till later. It was a trip, man. It was like nothing. Unfortunately, I think I had the feeling it was always going to be like this. And it never was that easy again. I mean, I worked in the film business for 50 years, and it was never as easy as it was that very first time. It's a great battle of film business. A great fun battle, mind you.
But I'm saying that time, there's peace and love and all this. I mean, did you have beautiful girlfriends that you had and you go, hey, I'm Bingo in the Banana Splits as a conversation?
I never once tried to impress anybody with the fact that I was the guy inside of that gorilla costume. That came later in other ways. I lied about other things.
You get my point. You must have had a lot of beautiful women come on the set.
Yeah, sure. They're hot and cold running, beautiful women coming to the Banana Split set. Sure. It was great fun. I didn't get to know any of them very well, but such as
you know why I asked that? There's some promos of you guys outside the Hanna-Barbera studios, and I don't know if they hired models to take photos with you guys outside. Do you remember that?
I know the picture you're talking about, and I'm pretty sure that's not really the real guys in the suits, because I don't remember doing those pictures. And I pretty much remember everything and wrote it all down, as you know.
Okay. They got to read the book. But what I want to ask you is, the people that went out to the amusement parks, were they other people they hired, or they got you guys at the start to go to the amusement parks?
They never got us to go to the amusement parks. We went once, I think only when we were shooting the show. We went to out to a place in Texas, Six Flags over Texas, and then another time, Kings Island in Ohio. But that was only when we were shooting. No, they didn't want to pay us what it would cost them to pay actors to be in the suits during that time. You can get other people for that for less money, and we wouldn't have wanted to do that anyway. We wanted to save it for when the cameras were rolling.
And you know the colors. I'm just saying, when you see the show now in color, and you're seeing it in black and white, you're blown away. I can only imagine what it might have been like to have met you in '68 on the set of the show, and I'm a kid, and you see something multicolored and big, because that's what you are. You know what I mean? Those suits.
Yeah.
And you'd say to yourself, you'd be in shock, or you'd be looking at, you've never seen nothing like that in your life before, because there was nothing like that before.
You would really have dug it. Yes, you're absolutely right. There was nothing like it, practically nothing since. And you were watching in black and white. I can't believe you still loved it. In color, yes, it was dazzling. And of course, they did all that sort of psychedelic animation to go along with the show.
Yeah.
They multiplied different three-dimensional stuff. It was trippy. It was a trip, speaking of language from the 60s.
Yeah, peace and love and all that. And I got to tell you, when you were doing this show, here I'm a Monkees fan, and then comes on Banana Splits, like straight after. So you never missed anything. It's like you're going then, and then after came the Partridge Family, and came the Bubblegum with 68, Simon Says and all that. So you guys are really in the groove of everything.
Yeah, no, we came along at the right time, doing the right thing. I wish we had gone more years. Though, in truth, when you look at it, you got a bunch of guys in suits going blah, 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 right? You can put anything in the mouths of those characters that you want. They didn't need to shoot more stuff. They had a library as long as your arm, as long as a block long, that they could make new stories around. So they didn't need to shoot anymore. So, c'est la vie.
Taiwan.
They said British remote control, but we didn't want it on the label. They said fly to Amsterdam, the people laughed, the press went mad. Someone's really smart. Complete control, now that's a laugh. On the last tour, my mates couldn't get in. I opened up the bank and what they got run out again. At every hotel, we was met by the law. Come for the party, come to make sure. Have we done something wrong? Complete control, even over the song. Artistically free when we signed that bit of paper. They meant let's make a lot of money and worry about it later. I'll never understand. Complete control, every see you're out of hand. Control.
In London or back again here in Liverpool, the beat's much the same. A beat that in one form or another has come down the centuries to become magnified into a phenomenon of today.
Built sweet, you got everything. I'm gonna baby. Yeah, baby. Oh, baby. Have me some fun tonight. I was all Uncle John, bald head Sally, Don Mary coming and the upper in the alley. Oh, baby. Yeah, baby. Oh, baby. Have me some fun tonight.
Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP here from Melbourne, Australia, and it gives me great pleasure to talk to one of the biggest Liverpool people, one of the greatest bands that I know of, the Swinging Blue Jeans, and I've got the lead singer, Ray Ennis. How are you, Ray?
I'm fine, Plastic. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to talk to you. My heart is just opened up. I can't tell you how big a fan I am. You got no idea.
I've been looking for you all my life.
How did the Swinging Blue Jeans start? Tell me the story.
We started in 1957 at the Cavern Club in Liverpool as a skiffle group, and played there for a few years up till 1962, when in between times things had gone from acoustic skiffle into electric skiffle. Bands like the Beatles and Jerry and the Pacemakers, started playing at the Cavern, and we had our own guest night on a Tuesday night, and that was the first gig the Beatles ever did at the Cavern. was on our guest night in March 1961. So we gave them their big break. And I'm still waiting for me to come in. But the Beatles had just come back from Hamburg, and the manager of the club in Hamburg came to Liverpool, and he didn't speak any English. And he came down to the Cavern, and Paul McCartney spoke very good German. So we went to a coffee bar, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and the rest of the Blue Jeans. And he got us the gig in Hamburg at the Star Club in 1962. And Paul did all the negotiating and everything, because we didn't know what was going on, because they were just speaking all in German. So we got to the Star Club in 1962. We came back from the Star Club at the end of September, and we went back, obviously playing in the Cavern and the Mardi Gras and all the other clubs in Liverpool. In the meantime, the Beatles had a recording contract with EMI, and they'd recorded "Love Me Do." So we were writing our own songs at that time, as were the Beatles, but the Beatles never used to play them on stage. They were a bit shy about playing their own songs. So we were chatting one night to George Harrison. He said, well, if you're writing all your own songs, he said, why don't you send a tape in? So we sent a tape down to EMI at Abbey Road, and we went down for an audition, and we got a contract with HMV Records at EMI, and that's where our career took off then.
I got to say, were you more friendly with the Beatles or Jerry and the Pacemakers?
Well, we were friendly with everyone. We were all just local lads, and all playing at the Cavern and going out and having a beer. And none of us ever knew that things would get as big as they did. And especially the Beatles, were monstrous all over the world. But it was just local lads playing in the Cavern, enjoying ourselves. We used to get 10 shillings each a night.
Can you give me a John Lennon story, Ray?
John Lennon was a very caustic person, humor-wise. He used to take out of anybody in a wheelchair or anything like that. It wouldn't be acceptable today, but in them days, that's what he did. And I remember Decca Records came to the Cavern one lunchtime to come and see the Beatles with a view to signing them up to Decca Records. And Lennon knew that they were in the audience, these executives from Decca Records, and he went out of his way just to be playing all the wrong chords, singing the wrong words on stage, just fooling around and everything. And these guys went back to London and said, I wouldn't sign them guys, they're useless, and that was Lennon. He didn't care. He just didn't care at all about anything,
What was it like when you had the first hit song?
It was one that I'd written, which we went down and did the TMI for, which was called "It's Too Late Now," which went into the top 30, and we're over the moon. And we thought, well, that's it. If we, nothing else ever happens, we've had a hit record, and we'll all go back to proper jobs.
The best version is your version, Hippie Hippie Shake. The best version.
Thank you very much. I didn't realize how many versions of it there was, and somebody sent me a tape with all the different versions on, and including the original by Shan Romero. And I must admit, without sounding big-headed, yes, you're right, ours was the best version of it.
The song that I love, the number one song, and I want you to tell me the full story of You're No Good. That song is the most brilliant song. Tell me how that came to you and the story behind that song.
Well, our drummer Norman was an avid record collector, and his father went away to sea. So they used to bring over to America. They used to bring back all kinds of records and albums and things. And Norman had this copy of "You're No Good" by Betty Everett, who did the original of it. EMI had made us. We did "Hippie Hippie Shake," and then the other "Hippie Hippie Shake." So we did "Good Golly Miss Molly," which I thought it was a mistake. I mean, it was a hit record, but you know, it didn't compare with Little Richard's version, you know. And we were looking for something different, so we went back down to Abbey Road with "You're No Good" and a couple of other songs. And the recording manager, a guy called Wally Ridley, said, "Well, it's a nice song, but it's not hit material, you know." So we stuck to our guns. You know, we were convinced it was a hit record, and they released it anyway. And it went to number 3, which if we'd have followed up "Hippie Hippie Shake" with "You're No Good," I think "You're No Good" might have gone to number 1.
Tell me what happens after you release that song. I love the film clip. How big was the song with the people?
Well, I remember playing it to, we were in Germany doing a short tour, and we were playing with an Irish band, and we played them the record, saying this is our next record. And this Irish guy said, "Oh," he said, "that's a hit." He said, "That appeals to the youth. It just epitomizes the way the youth think." You know, and he was right. I never thought of it that way myself, but at the time, but he was right. You know, it did appeal to the youth because they all bought the record.
That film clip where you're wearing those white and red striped shirts, it's the greatest, Ray. Just, it's the greatest. You got no idea.
Well, you know, also, we also had these blue trousers, pants, and we had blue socks, and we also wore sandals, Jesus boots, as they call them, and we went on Ready Steady Go, and we felt a bit silly in sandals. And Kathy McGowan, who was one of the presenters on Ready Steady Go, said, "Wow, that's so cool, the outfit with sandals," you know. So it didn't seem so bad then. But you know, we also had white jumpers on as well, if I remember, which were very heavy wool ones, which were roasting hot when you went on stage, you know. And they all shrank into waves.
Feeling better now that we're through. Feeling better 'cause I'm over you. I've learned my lesson, it left a scar, and now I see how you really are. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. I'm gonna say it again, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. Broke her heart, was gentle and true. I left the girl for someone like you. I begged her forgiveness on bended knee, but I wouldn't blame her if she said to me, "You're no good, it's no good, it's no good, baby, it's no good." I'm gonna say it again, it's no good, it's no good, it's no good, baby, it's no good. No good. It'll be easy forgetting you. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good, baby, you're no good. I'm gonna say it out loud. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good,
coming in. It's flying out.
Got there.
I got a primitive model. And you know what I mean by primitive? It's dinky. How are you, Jody?
I'm good. How are you?
What models have you got to show me, Jody?
Well, I got 2 Lost in Space models.
Yeah, let's have a look.
I got my little B9 robot here.
Yeah, bring it in. Bring it in. That's it. Bring it in. Stop.
Oh,
That's fantastic.
He's sweet.
He's great.
Love this guy.
Of course. And what's the other model you got?
And then I got my Jupiter 2 model here.
That's unbelievable, that Jupiter 2, isn't it? That looks like a paperweight, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's actually pretty heavy.
I know. Now, tell them what it does now. We won't pretend anymore. We'll tell them what it does. Let's show something amazing to the world. And what you're going to see is amazing. All right, let's give it sound. Let's let it go.
All right, let's go. Let's put it on the magnet here.
Watch this. The most amazing thing I have seen in my life. Watch. How this happens is unbelievable. Watch this. This is futuristic. I've never seen anything like this, as I said. Once it gets going.
Yeah, it'd take me a second to get it on there.
Yeah, that's all right. It's a bit like cooking meat. It's okay. Once the barbecue's on, you can cook. I want to say hello to everybody, and we're waiting for July the 10th for the Plastic EP's birthday show. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Did you see that? It's on air. There's nothing there. Unbelievable.
And there you have it.
All right. Now we're going to go through everything you need to tell us, Jody. That is the most amazing thing I have seen in my life. This is the future coming to you live on this show. It's like we're in the year 4000. I'm not joking. Look at it spin.
It's been quite an endeavor to make this thing, let me tell you.
Now, I want you to go through the story. I know you're a Lost in Space fan like myself. Tell the story. Right. What gave you the idea? How you came up with this? How many hours it took? I'm just fascinated. It's all yours.
I got the idea off of Facebook, to be honest with you. There was a little floating lamp, a little spaceship lamp. See, this little guy right here, and he floats on top of this little base. So that kind of gave me the idea to make this model float. Originally, I just wanted to, make the Jupiter 2 model because I watch it every weekend. Every time I watch it, it reminds me of, the little kid inside me. And then, so then I started doing some research. I found a company that's got a flotation device. So it's 5 Earth magnets, 1 in the ship, 4 in the table. Then there's 4 electromagnets that actually stabilize it. Then there's an optical sensor in the middle of the table there that shoots up and actually sees the magnet inside the ship, and that's what keeps it stable. Yeah, I've got one big lithium battery inside the model. I've got a little. If you look straight down through the side window, there's 4 LEDs in there to tell me how much charge is on the battery inside the model, and there's a little charging port. Hold on a second. Let's see. There's a little charging port right there. It sounds just like the Jupiter 2. There's a little sound card in there. I mean, it's a wonderful model. When I'm upstairs watching Lost in Space, I can have my little model sitting there, floating in the background. It brings me a lot of joy.
Before we start, Chachi, I just want to tell you we're actually live. Believe it or not, we're live. So just move your eyes.
You make me feel like a spinning top. Oh, you make me feel like a spinning top. Spinning top, spinning top. Baby, you make me feel like a spinning top. Yeah, baby, you make me spin.
I'm going to tell you, this does work because I just got a notification on my phone saying that this is live.
We're live, and that's okay, although I don't like to do things live before noon. But then again, my radio show's on at 6 a.m., So here we are. It's Chachi LaPret outside of Boston, Massachusetts, kind of near Cape Cod. And then we have Mr. Plastic EP, my dear friend of many, many, many months. And he is in Melbourne, Australia. I say born, but it's Melbourne, right?
Melbourne, that's right. I'm going to say, your show, you're just playing the best Beatle hits there are. I listen all the time. It's like sometimes you play 4 or 5 songs in a row, but they're always top quality, the best songs. I can't get over it. You got to tell us the times that your show's on.
Okay, it's New England's Breakfast with the Beatles, Saturday mornings out of Boston, Massachusetts, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. WUMB 91.9 FM. Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. to noon on a station called Seacoast Oldies 92.1 and 97.1, New Hampshire and Maine. Now, Plastic, did you hear me the other night on doing a special appearance on WATD, which is
now, I'll tell you what happened there, Chachi.
You fell asleep.
As you know, I had to do some editing on a project that you know about, and I forgot. And I think that show will be replayed on that radio station. Is that correct or not?
I don't think so, but I talked about you several times. I played many discs from Australia that you so graciously and generously sent me all the way from Melbourne, Australia. You must have paid at least $3,000 to ship that box. Postage is very expensive out of Melbourne. But we talked about you. We talked about our little get-together on Facebook Live and Plastic EP TV. And it was very endearing, and I was hoping you heard it, but you missed it. But that's okay. I always talk nice about you. And I'll be talking about you again tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, on my Breakfast with the Beatles show.
I appreciate it, Chachi, but I got to tell you, sometimes it's so confusing with the times that I misunderstood. And when you said it was like I think you said it was like late at night.
Yes.
I just like switched off, did something else before I knew it. I said, I got to check, and it's 2 a.m. here.
Well, we were on from 11:30 p.m. on Thursday night until 1 a.m. I got to bed at 3, and it was Wednesday night. I got to bed at 3 in the morning, and I'm still dragging. You know, I'm not as young as I used to be, Mr. EP.
How great was that, though, to do that show?
Oh, it's great. I always go on. It's a friend of mine who has the show, Mike Josh at WATD, and the show is called The Midnight Bong. So, although there's no smoking allowed in the station, we do play, you know, Beatles music when I show up about 4 times a year and bring a bunch of stuff. So and it was fun. And I talked about you, of course, lovingly. And I'm happy for
thank you. Now, little Bertie was talking to me and said that you had a show that was called My Mother's on the Roof or Someone's on the Roof. What's that about?
Yes, I had a television show out of Boston for 7 years in the 80s and 90s. It was called Your Mother's on the Roof. And you can find episodes on YouTube, not all of them, because we did a show every other Friday night live for 7 years. I have all the tapes on half-inch beta, which no one uses anymore. And they are in storage right now at the David Bieber Archives, which is a really phenomenal collection of memorabilia, and all my shows are stored there in Norwood, Massachusetts, David Bieber Archives. Check it out. We've had many, many bands. You know, Pete Best was on the show. Tony Bennett was on the show. And we had a live studio audience, a live band every show. We took live phone calls. It was, you know, whatever happened. You can find it on YouTube, Mr. EP.
I'll check it out. But listen, I left my heart in San Francisco.
Hey.
What a famous song.
Hey, this is Tony Bennett. Where I can't find my heart. Thank you. Oh, I left it in San Francisco.
Now listen, when we're listening to Tony Bennett, we're listening to Tony Bennett. But when we're listening to Elvis, we're listening to Elvis. And let me tell you, you know we're live when you've got a message. There's a message.
Eric Katz. That's the message?
That's a message. It's coming live.
Yeah, but what's that? Who's Eric Katz?
I'm not sure, but it says Eric Katz. Was he on the show or something?
I have no idea who Eric Katz is.
Okay, he might tell us who Eric Katz is. But in the meantime, I'll make the text come here live on the screen now, Chachi.
Okay, I'm going to pull up your page on my other computer here.
Please do that.
so I can access fans of the show.
Yep.
Where are we? Oh, here we are. We are live. Okay. How do I share it? Okay. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you, Charles Thomas, for saying Eric Katz. And that's a good way to start the show.
If he wants to explain what Eric Katz is, I'm waiting to read it. But let me also tell you, we've got a very special guest coming up shortly.
Yes. I'm so
and hopefully
excited.
he'll arrive in no time, and we'll get straight into that interview, and it should be fascinating. But we won't mention who the special guest is yet.
No, we won't. But I will tell you, if you're a John Lennon fan, you probably have heard of this gentleman. He was a dear friend of John's, and there's so many interesting stories and some sad stories, but he is an acclaimed person in the world of John and Yoko. So we're waiting for him to arrive. And it's all, one of the things is we are live because tonight on 2020 on ABC, there's a John Lennon television special of which this gentleman is a part of. It's called John Lennon, His Life, Legacy, and Last Days. So we're very excited to watch that tonight in America, not in Melbourne, apparently, but in America on ABC TV. I think it's 8 to 10 or 9 to 11. It's something to that effect, but you'll see it. It's the 2020 episode tonight. So we're very excited about that. But you know what's even more exciting? I'm here with you, Plastic EP. And, I did contribute to your documentary, your part 2 documentary. I'm very excited to see that. I think people need to peel back the onion of Plastic EP and find out just who is this interesting man who has interviewed so far 3,428 people in a matter of 4 days. I think that's pretty amazing.
And I got to say, Chachi, I've seen your interview, and it's really good. I'm not
thank
joking.
you.
It's really good. But I got to say,
Mhm.
I got one from Marvel Davis, fantastic too. I got all these people. I don't want to give it all away,
Mhm.
but this documentary called The Plastic Heap Phenomenon will be really great. I can't wait.
It will be fantastic, and we're going to get a tour of Plastic's home. As you can see in this background, he's living quite luxuriously in Australia. Beautiful home.
Isn't it nice? I need the butler to come and serve you.
Yes,
What
exactly.
would you like? Would you like tea and biscuits?
A little bit of biscuits or scones would be nice. Even a donut right now in the Plastic EP mansion. You've done very well in your life, and I appreciate you being in our lives today. It's Chachi from Boston, Plastic EP from Melbourne, Australia. And I think it's time to show some Beatle collectibles before our guest.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to move straight into that now. And with our famous segment, which everyone loves, I love this segment. I want to see, show me your Beatles stuff.
Show me your Beatles stuff. Yes, this is my Beatles stuff, and I'm going to show you. But before I do, I got a hula-loo from Honolulu. Now, we'll hear about the Beatles. Oh, look at this pin that I found earlier today. I love the Beatles. That's in a little beauty. A little beauty.
1964.
Yes, 1964. So we have that. And one of the, when I speak at Suffolk University College to the freshman Beatles class all the time, and they love to see the Beatles butcher cover, but they also really enjoy this little book. It's called Love Letters to the Beatles. And they really enjoy, just opening the book and reading a letter. Let's see if I can pick one. Dear Beatles, you are probably not aware of the mess you are making in every teenage heart. It's a total disaster. We just formed Beatles Anonymous to help all those poor mixed up girls who can't break the Beatle habit. We hope it's not too late. On your last visit, you really shook up the United States. Love, Hilda from Portland, Oregon. So there you go. And it's a book. It's a book filled with letters from fans, and people love reading that. And then we have the giant color pick poster,
right.
Which is
pretty look at that. Fantastic photos there.
But sometimes you're home and you like to, you love to go to an arcade, and you can't nowadays because of COVID. And perhaps
our guest is coming on. Our guest is here.
Oh, okay. Let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on.
Hello.
Wow. There he is.
It's Plastic EP and Chachi Lapret from Breakfast with the Beatles. It's a pleasure having you on.
Oh, my pleasure. Good to see you.
Mr. Gruen, it is a pleasure. You are a historic figure, not only in the photographic world for the many celebrities that you have photographed, And it's really an honor to have you. I've been a fan for many, many years. I've always wanted you on my Breakfast with the Beatles show, and I'm telling you that I'm just thrilled to be able to talk to you today. So thank you for joining us.
Well, my pleasure. I've been listening to some mornings. It's a great show because it's not just the Beatles. You bring in so many influences and what influenced the Beatles and who they influenced, and it's really a great show that you do.
Well, I sincerely appreciate it. And Plastic, one of my favorite books. I don't know if you can see this is just part of my Beatle book collection, but one of my favorite books. I've always loved it. Here it is, Mr. Gruen's his previous book, The New York Years. This is such a fantastic book.
Mm-hmm.
It's so enlightening. Certainly, it ends sadly, Bob. And boy, I love that book with the photos and the stories. So thank you for that book. I've had it for a long time.
Yeah, well, that book it meant a lot to me. Instead of just photos, I told the whole story of what it was like to actually be a friend in New York. For the whole time we lived here, I met them in 1971, actually, when I got here. And I saw him a couple days before he passed away. It's a sad thing, but it's a great story. Any person dying, and a fun person.
We've got this here, mind me, Chachi. Here's your fantastic new book, Right Place, Right Time. The Life of a Rock and Roll Photographer, Bob Gruen, coming out on the 20th of October. We can't wait for that, Bob.
Yeah, well, they're just printing them. They're actually they start to ship them now. I think they start shipping. They're in the warehouse. It does exist. A real book. It's over 400 pages, more than 100,000 words. This book is more of a reading book. I wrote a lot of words for it. It's more text, although there are over 250 pictures. Fortunately, nowadays, the way they print, we could put pictures, color and black and white, throughout the book. So, but in this case, the pictures illustrate the text rather than some words illustrating the pictures. It's a storybook, a book to read. Story of my life.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, you have the advantage of time now. You can look back and look at the twists and turns of your life. Did you ever expect the journey that you've been on and you continue to this day?
My life is one surprise after another. The thing is that it's called Right Place, Right Time because that's how life unfolded. Being in the right place at the right time. You have to do the right thing and take advantage of the place in the right time. And I think I've been doing that pretty well. So, but no, I didn't ever expect it. I remember being 19 years old and thinking I would never be 25. And I actually woke up on my 25th birthday going,
And we sit here and, this past Friday, John would have been 80. And
yeah,
the idea that he was 40 when we lost him. And here we are 40 years later. And, what do you think John would probably love social media today. He'd be into Twitter, Facebook, all of that.
He was so funny with the one-liners. He would have been fantastic on Twitter because everybody knows the things he said. Like all we were saying is give peace a chance, or just imagine all the people living life in peace. But he said a lot of fun too, like time you enjoy, not waste. Things like that. I would love to. John was with there is a good feed with quotes from John on the John Lennon site, and there is a Twitter feed. But it's mostly, his staff coloring things that he's already said. But we had 40 years of John, and that was a lot, and he's left a lot. And rather than mourn his loss, I'd rather celebrate what we did get.
Yes.
Listen to the music, listen to the art. I'd like to mention that David Sheff, who did the Playboy interview with John Lennon, the last interviews he did in November of 1980. Which is very in-depth, and John really talked about his growth period, what he learned. Sean, he talked about in the Playboy interview, he talked about responsibility, about sobriety, the joy of delayed gratification, something he learned, and it's going to be published, I think. So it's a Playboy interview by David Sheff. Read my book, but also read David's book if you want to know about John Lennon. Read what John had to say, not what people say about him.
Yeah. Well, and Plastic, please forgive me if I'm dominating the conversation. Mr. Gruen, I've been a big fan. But Bob, one thing, I don't know how many photographers John actually was friends with, but were you a friend before a photographer with John? Because you had a special relationship with him.
Yes. Well, no, I met him on an assignment as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
They liked the pictures, and the story was actually about the Elephants' Memories. So I asked if I could come to the studio, and I took a picture of John and Yoko together with the Elephants' Memory Band. And then they wanted to use that picture in their album cover package for sometime in New York City. And it was then when they asked for the pictures that we actually brought me to Yoko's house. It was literally a half a block from my house. We just happened to live up the block. And we went over and we talked and we got along. John was pretty and I got along with Yoko. And just one thing leads to another. I can't tell you how to become friends with somebody. You like them and they like you, and it works. You know? To me, the fact that I was getting to be friends with John and Yoko, this was unbelievable because they were John and Yoko, and I wasn't.
I know it's pretty amazing you found yourself in that situation. Did Yoko have to do your numbers to see if you were approved?
Well, she didn't have to, but she did do it a couple of times. That's her way of relating. I guess my number came out okay.
You did.
Oh yeah. When it's dark and it's past midnight in a creepy castle where there's lots of monsters, take care, beware, 'cause it's Monsters Paradise, where there's hanging chains and big monster flames. Please beware, take some care, 'cause it's Monsters Paradise, yeah, Monsters Paradise. It's real spooky. Are you scared of monsters? Are you scared of spiders? Woo! Down by the lake there's a 10-foot snake. Down by the moat you might find a boat to escape from Monsters Paradise. Yeah, Monsters Paradise. It's creepy. Cause it's dark inside. Can you see? Do beware. Do take care. Monsters Paradise. Yeah, Monsters Paradise. You see a hairy monster with one big arm. Please beware. Take some care. It's following everywhere. Monsters Paradise. 'Cause it's Monsters Paradise. It's real spooky. Yeah, it's real spooky. Yeah, it's real spooky.